So we are live.
¿Sí?
Hola a todos, ¿cómo estáis? ¿Estáis bien? Espero que todos estén bien, todos en casa y seguros. Y bueno, ayer ha sido el día del abrazo, el Día Internacional del Abrazo. Entonces espero que habéis podido enviar muchos abrazos virtuales porque no podemos hacer esto personalmente. Pero bueno, os quiero decir que hoy estamos aquí otra vez haciendo nuestra live semanal y hoy vamos a hablar de un tópico, un tema muy interesante, que es algo que a veces nos ponemos un poco con un cierto miedo de hablar, o porque tenemos un poco de miedo de no hablar como un nativo, o porque tenemos un acento. Pues bueno, no os preocupáis, hoy vamos a hablar un poco de esto. Entonces, si tenéis dudas, poner ahí en los comentarios. Nos encantar leer todos los comentarios. Ya he visto que hay muchos, entonces muy bueno. Muchísimas gracias por todos los que estáis aquí. Y bueno, para los que aún no conocen a Cambly, Cambly es una plataforma que podéis estudiar inglés con profesores y tutores nativos. ¿Vale? Esto puede ser con tutores de Estados Unidos, de Inglaterra, de Australia, lo que sea. Lo acento que queréis estudiar más y aprender un poco más, podéis escoger y buscar exactamente por este acento en Cambly. Y pues hoy vamos a hablar un poco de la... Ah, otra cosa, ya me olvidaba. Para los que aún no conocen y quieren empezar, ¿vale? Aquí os vamos a poner el código LIVEHISPANIC, que es un código promocional para que podáis coger tu primera clase gratuita, ¿vale? Entonces, aquí abajo en la descripción tenéis todo eso, ¿vale? No os olvidéis que hay toda la descripción, LIVEHISPANIC, está el código promocional. Y bueno, es esto. Vamos ahora a pasar al inglés. Si queréis poner los comentarios o sus dudas o lo que sea en español, no hay problema. Yo hago la traducción aquí y hacemos las preguntas para que podamos al máximo, ¿vale? He visto que hay muchos, pero intentaremos hacer esto. Y hoy estamos aquí con una tutora que es increíble y ya se llama Nicky y ya es americana y os voy a dejar ahora, vamos a pasar al inglés y a pesar de que ella entiende y habla el castellano, ¿vale? Entonces, para lo que ponéis ahí los comentarios, ella puede entender, ¿vale? Entonces, vamos a empezar con ella, vamos a pasar todo al inglés ahora, pero si queréis tener dudas, podéis poner en inglés o en castellano, ¿vale? So, Nikki, how are you? How are you doing?
Good. How are you today? Thank you for having me.
Very good, very good. Thank you for your time as well here. And so I was saying for everybody, since I know that you understood everything, but it's quite interesting for us. So I would like to ask you to present yourself for everybody. So tell a little bit about you, why you're here, and yeah, a little bit about you.
Okay, very good. Well, I'm from New Jersey in the United States, and I studied business administration. I worked for a publishing company in New Jersey, but we did books that were for schools. Then, about in 2007, my friends opened up an English school in Mexico, and they invited me to come down and be a school teacher there. So I've been teaching English since 2007, but here on Cambly since 2017. I have experience working from pre-K to adults, and I also do translations on the side from English to Spanish and vice versa.
Yeah, so that's good. So everybody should know everybody from Mexico put a thumbs up here. She's from Mexico.
Yay.
Now she's living in Mexico for 13 years. So I mean, I'm quite envious, but I mean, it's quite interesting. And today we're going to talk about something very interesting, right? It's something that every one of us maybe got a little bit afraid in some way, or I mean, it's very tricky thing. So the accent that we wanted to put it, if we're from Spain or from Mexico or from Colombia or whatever part from the Hispanic countries, and we always get this frustration when we are not necessarily talking with the accent that that we listen to. I mean, or if we're listening to the accent from United States, for example, and we wanted to talk like a native. So it's quite tricky because sometimes it is difficult. And so I wanted to ask you to talk a little bit about your experience. Since you were living in Mexico for 13 years,
Yes.
you should have a lot of interesting stories to tell us about.
Yeah, it's true. Growing up in New Jersey, the Spanish that I learned is probably a bit more tropical. Puerto Rican, the Santo Domingo. So it's different. And then when I came to Mexico, I thought I knew Spanish, but it was like, wait a minute, this is different.
Yeah.
And it was just the accent. So really, you have to get your ear used to the new accent. It all depends on the region. So the same, if you have to go for business to Europe, maybe it's good to practice British English.
Yeah.
Or if you have to communicate with the state, learn American English. And Australian accents I've heard too.
Yeah.
That is very difficult. So you have to pick the region that you like or that you need to be able to communicate with and get used to listening. Broadcast, podcast, TV shows even, and news. And that'll help your ear just to get used to it a little bit.
Yeah, because it's something that it helped me a lot, and I don't know if it's so. If you tell me if it's more of or your students are doing that as well, if you even say that something to them. What helped me a lot when I was learning, it's I got all the kids. I was watching or picking books for kids or watching television shows for kids, because I think that the English, and from United States, because when I was learning, I was basically for the United States. But so I took all those things for kids, and I was like reading and watching and listening, everything for kids, because it was a basic level of English.
Yeah.
And it helped me a lot.
Yeah, it's very important. I mean, a lot of times when people say reading practice, I don't want to read, But pick something you like. If you like sports, okay, read about sports, Or like you said, stories. Read simple stories, maybe kids stories, or even music. Print out the lyrics of songs that you like. We used to work with the group Simple Plan all the time. Welcome to My Life, because it was really basic, really easy to understand, and you can practice repeating it just like the singer does. Exactly. Or your favorite TV series, like The Big Bang Theory or something. Practice. I want to speak like him. And then the more you listen to it, you can copy it after a while. It's not a problem.
Yeah. I mean, it's nothing. There's no right or wrong way to practice your English. I mean, you can
just have fun. That's
exactly. And don't be afraid. I mean, we are learning a new language, so when you're learning a new language, you will make mistakes, and it's perfectly fine to make mistakes. I always say that here. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to just to speak up, and it will be fine. People are not going to judge you for that, right?
Yeah. Nope.
Yeah,
go ahead.
It's actually very when I listen to someone learning Spanish or learning English or wanted to talk a little bit more, and we notice that they make some. I do a lot of mistakes, so it's it's normal though, and I think it's even. You create a relationship with the people who are listening, or we're actually improving and getting better, right?
Yes. No, a lot of my students, in the university I taught at, they're my friends now. They're teachers, So we remember the embarrassing times, but it just makes you closer,
Yeah.
Yeah, you become more compassionate toward other people learning.
Yeah,
a new language too.
Definitely.
You know?
Do you think that there is something
Uh-huh.
that I always think about as well, and I just saw here that someone put it the comment here, and I will just make sure, because it's something that when we are learning a new language, and I went to California, and I lived there for almost a year, and but I was already doing English courses, and so I was used to the English already. But do you think it's important, since Garcia, she asked here that what your opinion about the when people are going to move to the city, and to work, or just to learn a language. For example, someone from Mexico moving to New Jersey to learn. Do you think it's a good way? Do you think it's just one this way to learn it?
Well, definitely for myself, when I moved to Mexico, that's when I put it into practice. But you have to practice beforehand, because, the whole stress of moving to a new place, and not everybody may be as helpful. It's good to prepare yourself first. So, like you said, if you want to go to New Jersey, okay. So now we know the region that we're going to try to learn how to talk like, understand them. So that's important, because you don't want to go into shock either.
Yeah.
You want to ease into it. So, but yeah, definitely when you put yourself in that place and you surround yourself with it, that's when you can really, I think, master the language.
Yeah.
Or if maybe, I know here in Mexico, we have a lot of university students. So we have like a culture where we speak English to each other.
Yeah.
So you may not have to move. You just might have to find a place where speaking English is needed or used more. Like a lot of times in Cancun, the majority speak English because of tourism.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
depends.
it's the basic language, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what else you were saying? And I interrupted you. Sorry.
No, that's okay. And to as far as reading practice, I always recommend the breaking up the words or hard words into syllables or sounds. So a lot of times you might get a word like emphasize, right? Say it slow. Take your time in the beginning, but always break it up into those syllables to help you with your pronunciation, right? Because I know in Spanish, there was the word conocimiento. It was, oh my God, it was huge. But my teacher said, just break it up. Conocimiento. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I can do that. And then with time, you get quicker and faster with the pronunciation of more difficult words, maybe business words.
That's interesting. Yeah, to split in parts. So
Yeah.
don't worry about the whole thing, and just take it easy. And go
take your time first. It's better to be clear, and then with time you'll be able to speed it up.
Perfect. Let me give one piece. Everybody who is listening or watching us on Instagram now, just go to our bio. In our Instagram bio has a link where you go directly for YouTube. It's where we are going to continue our live now on YouTube, okay? So everybody from Instagram, todos los que estáis en Instagram, ahora ponéis ahí el enlace que está en la bio y vamos directamente al YouTube, es donde vamos a continuar con nuestra live, ¿vale? So yeah, because just sending a message for everybody who is watching us on Instagram as well. So going to continue here on YouTube. If you have more friends, just send the link, put a thumbs up here, and let's share and let's learn new things here. So yeah, so what you were saying before I will interrupt you again.
No. It's okay. It's okay. But yeah, the importance of reading practice, but breaking the words into syllables and sounds. So the word emphasize. It's a big word. Break it down. Emphasize. And if you break it up little by little, you'll be able to say it faster and faster. And I said, like, for me, in Spanish, I'll never forget, it was conocimiento. It was so hard. So my teacher said, just divide it up. Conocimiento. Conocimiento. And then with time, I was able to say it, So tricks like that will help you. Sometimes maybe you're reading a text for school or for leisure. Write it the way it sounds, right? So sometimes maybe in the margins, just how does it sound to you? So that when you read it, you say it the correct way. And also record yourself. I always tell my students, when you're doing your practice with the accent and pronunciation, record yourself so you can monitor also how you're doing. Maybe it's the TH sounds that are giving you a problem, right? So keep pace by recording yourself. And listen to a native speaker, maybe read a text, and then you try to copy it the same way, or a song. So it's a lot of repetition, but it will work. It will work.
Definitely. And let me ask you one question here, because I thought it was a very interesting question, and it's from Manuel Cubas. And hola Manuel, gracias por tu pregunta. He asked that it is what do you recommend in terms of starting to learn English? He asked about, like, it's better to listen and talk, and then going to reading and writing, just like the kids do. It's so start to talk and listen, and then go to writing and reading. So I think he wanted to make this connection between how kids learn and how we can learn a new language.
Yeah, it's true, but I recommend both. I remember, like, when I was a kid learning, just your normal native language, my mom was very helpful. I would hear her talk, but also she would teach me right away, pictures, words, and I remember that. So the same, when you're learning a new language, definitely listen, but have it with you. Like my thing was, salsa. I love salsa music. So print out the words, and follow along with the song, So hear it, but also recognize it. So help the brain kind of like connect. Okay, that word means this, right? Or like mental pictures. I always tell my students to write diaries. When in the beginning, today I ate breakfast, I drank water. So you see what you've done, and now you're connecting it to the grammar, right? And then of course you can tell it to us as your teachers, or record yourself. So do everything, because all of that is going to help you and help your pace too, to move quicker.
Yeah.
So that's what I would recommend. Listen, but also right away connect the activity with the word.
That, as you said that, I there's something that I think it was very useful for me as well. I'm saying a personal experience that I just saw that someone put it here, comment as well. Maria, so Maria Fernanda, she just put it a comment, like, it's something that since you said about that, it's when I am watching a movie. So I'm watching a movie on Netflix or whatever, and I'm listening in English, and then I started to put the subtitle in English as well. So that's one of the things, right, that you were saying, to connect what the people are saying to the word. right? That was very useful for me because I put it that way, and now I can watch a complete movie without subtitles or nothing. But in the beginning, I was just putting subtitles in English because it was very useful for me, and I think it's answered the Maria question that it's it's useful to put subtitles in English, right?
Yeah. You have to start connecting it as fast as you can. You're getting your ear used to it, but your eyes and everything is connecting, and your pace will be quicker if you do that. If you can't move to another country, well, you could do it right in your living room that way.
Definitely. Or you can subscribe for Cambly. Don't worry. Don't forget about
that
that.
too.
Because then, if you wanted to practice English from whatever, you will definitely find someone who speaks the accent that you wanted to learn here. So just look, and you will be. Sometimes I was the other day I was talking with someone from Ireland, and the accent from Ireland is very strong. It was like, whoa, it's an amazing, but it's beautiful. So it's very interesting thing. And do you what else do you have for tips for us, and what kind of tips in terms of accent reduction? Since we normally have this, we don't want to speak like with a strong accent from Spain or from Mexico or from whatever.
Okay. Well, I did notice, like here in Mexico, sometimes my students were afraid to use the ed ending because they weren't sure exactly, how to say it. So they kind of just, flew over it, right?
Like
but
that.
Take your time. It's good to understand that ed endings have 3 different types of sounds. And it is important because you need to emphasize what time you're talking about. Is it in the present? Is it in the past? So it's very important to make sure you do emphasize those sounds, right? So you have the t or the t or the id sounds. And I wanted to just post it here. It's a really good website that gives easy explanation with a video on when to use it. Because it can be a little confusing, but that I think is the best explanation. But it's important to emphasize the words. Don't be afraid to read it all out. Don't skip through it. Because people can get confused. Was it yesterday or is it talking about today? So that's important as well.
Yeah, can you give us an example of an expression that with the ed at the end?
Like, so for example, waited, right? So people may say waited, and not pronunciate it. Yeah, it's okay. Waited. In the beginning, maybe exaggerate a little bit, but people will understand, that was in the past. Okay, he waited for his brother to come home. Or like cooked, right? So of course we have the voice sound, right? So that was yesterday. Okay, right? We're not talking about now. So those are like some ideas, it's okay, just try to pronounce the whole word. If you're not sure, we're here to help you on Cambly, to guide you through it, but just make sure you pronunciate. That's the most important, so that people understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah, because sometimes it's another thing that I'm seeing here. A lot of people are asking, and it's how to speak faster. And for example, here I put it. Christine just asked like how I find a way to speak faster like a native speaker, and should I? Valkyria asked again, should I try to speak faster to sound more natural? So that's one of the things, right? Don't worry to speak fast.
In the beginning, be clear. So talk slowly, exaggerate it a little bit, but clear. with consistency, the more you talk, the easier it will be. I have a wonderful example of a student from Brazil. I mean, he started at zero, literally zero. But within a year, he told me he was having dreams in English.
Whoa.
And now he talks about like a lot of deep things that he sees politically, theologically, a lot of stuff in English now. Wow. In a year. But it was practice. So I know I call it the Matrix, chip. Like, Keanu Reeves, he put the chip in and he did the karate. It doesn't happen like that in real life. You do have to just practice. And especially on Cambly, through the week, you're going to practice with a native speaker. Pick a teacher you like, you're comfortable with, and watch. You'll be able to talk faster.
Definitely. And just one thing for everybody who is listening for us here. If you want to have a class or schedule a class with Nicky, we put her profile link just here in the description as well. So make sure to click here in the description, and then you go direct to the Cambly for Nick profile, and you will be, if you wanted to take this promo code that we put it here for the new students and use for schedule a new class with her, please feel free. So we have the links for both of those, for the profile, Nicky profile on Cambly, and for our promo code here for your first class completely free. Okay, so just a message for everybody who wanted to make sure to click on Nicky profile here. She's one of the best, so she will, and if you have sometimes someone who are starting, they wanted to have someone to actually speaks a little bit of Spanish, so it's perfect.
And that's okay too. You have to understand it in your heart before you can.
That's good. That's amazing, because if I was like, okay, I cannot speak nothing in English, so I would like to have someone who, my tutor, would like to be at least the basics of Spanish for me to be able to communicate properly. So if you are here now sitting and watching us and we're kind of don't understanding, si tú estás aquí ahora y no entiendes mucho lo que estamos hablando, puedes coger y tomar una clase con Nicky. Tenemos aquí el enlace donde vas directamente al perfil de Nicky en Cambly, ¿vale? So coming back to English, sometimes I have to switch the mode here, but so I think there's a lot of interesting tips that you put it, and this way, like this mindset of us we wanted to speak faster. I think this is a very thing. Everyone is stick to it, and it's like, no, I have to speak faster. And and as you said, I loved what about you said about the splitting the word and actually emphasize and doing
you have to in the beginning.
And I love the Matrix. I love that.
Yes, but it's true. Everybody wants. You got it with time. And I do understand, because when I came to Mexico, this was just my personal challenge or reto, I wanted to understand Cantinflas movies, because I was like, oh my God, what is he saying? Let me tell you, it took me 3 years, but I watched all his movies, and now I could sit down and watch a Cantinflas movie, and I understand. So make a goal for yourself and take your time. There's no rush, but enjoy it. Have fun with it, and you'll be able to have lasting benefits.
Definitely.
So it's possible.
Definitely. So you watch a lot of telenovelas.
Yes.
Yes. The Mexican telenovelas are great.
No, I'm showing my age.
No, they're great. The Mexican telenovelas are great. But sometimes it's difficult for me though to understand the Mexican accent. Sometimes I have to take my time. I'm like, okay, these words not so. It is the same thing in Spanish or in English. It's basically depending on which country you are, you're going to speak a different not a different language, but it is different.
The accent, the accent, or even the region.
Yeah,
you know, like
words.
The New Yorkers, we talk different than the people in Texas.
Yes,
but that's what makes it fun.
Yeah, I love the accent from Texas. I think it's you definitely know. For me, I mean, I'm not able to differentiate the accent from New York to Miami. I mean, there is a little bit, but for me, I'm not that able. But when you listen to someone from New York and someone from Texas, definitely I can understand. Like you are from Texas. I think it's an amazing accent. It's have so much. I don't know. It's interesting, but it's the only accent in American United States that I'm able to differentiate from the others.
Okay. Yeah. And it's slower. It is a lot slower.
Yeah.
Because they call it the Southern drawl. Because they kind of exaggerate the words. So.
Yeah, I loved when I was living in California. I was like, I lived close. My neighbor was from Texas, so I was like, it's so interesting to hear you talk. I mean, please continue because it's amazing.
Like, say it again.
Yeah. And that's one of the things, because when I moved there, I was very stuck with the accent. I was like, there's some words that I was saying completely wrong, and now I'm even thinking about that right now, and I'm thinking that this thing that you told us about the matrix style or mindset, I think it's amazing. I'm starting to apply that right now.
Because everybody wants that. Yeah. Was it the red pill or the blue pill? You know, and pop it in and boom.
It's an amazing thing. You know?
It would be great if it was like that, but no. I mean, I think maybe some people they have that gift where they could just learn it within maybe 6 months or something, you know. But for normal people like us, it takes time. It takes time.
Yeah, so I mean,
but enjoy yourself, you know.
Yes, definitely. It's so fun to learn a new language. So
because I think sometimes we want to be fast and we want fast results and we give up. Because I've seen that too. They wanted something so bad so quickly that when it didn't happen like that, they don't come back to class, and so just enjoy it. Enjoy it. With the time will give you experience, and you'll be able to do it. And I have seen it. I have students that now are teachers, and
that's amazing.
It's amazing. It's great. They're doing great.
That's amazing. So let me ask some of the. I mean, we're receiving a lot of comments here. So let's try to at least answer some of those. There's very interesting ones here, and I want to take this one. It's from Marlene. So hola Marlene Salgado, and she asked about how to pronunciate the S. Like from she put it from the abejita, but so from bees. So I think the ask from bees, maybe bees.
Bees, like
because she put it like cómo pronunciar la S de abejita. The fish. I think it's the ass. What she wants us to pronounce the
S.
The S. So words. They have these sounds, the S. So,
okay. So it's more like think of a snake with the S. You know, the confusing thing is sometimes the C could be similar to it, but your S will always be like snake, sat, stand. And don't be afraid to exaggerate it in the beginning, right? or Sally. I think the other podcast you had, it was like Sally sells seashells. It's a bit stronger sound, but it's always like a sound of a snake.
So to don't be afraid to just exaggerate a little bit in the beginning, right?
Yeah. So it's clear.
So the snake. So I am
snake. Sally. Stand. So, and then after a while, you don't have to be so.
Yeah, I mean, but you're getting used to it, so it's a.
Yeah, you gotta get used to it.
Okay, so that's another question here, and Marva, she's asking. She's always here with us and asking very good questions. So thank you, Marva. And how do we pronounce the word either? Because some people say it in different ways.
Yeah, it's true. Either.
Yes.
A lot of. Yeah, sometimes I guess it depends on the region that you're at. Like in New Jersey, where I'm from, you say either. But I've heard other people say either. Either one. So sometimes in English, it's okay. It just depends on your region, which you decide to use. But I've heard both used and both are understood.
Both are correct.
But I usually say either.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, either it's. But I
good
learned
question.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. Either it's from England, maybe from the British accent, maybe.
Perhaps because we always say either where we are. So it might be.
Yeah,
too.
so either. Yeah, maybe.
I have to watch The Crown again.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. I was watching the Peaky Blinders. It's a very nice.
Yeah.
They have a very strong accent as well, so it's interesting to watch.
Yeah.
And so let's see here. Cecilia, she's asking. That's interesting. That's very good. Thank you, Cecilia, for this question. And she put it, Nicky, do you recommend to practice tongue twisters to improve our fluency in English?
Yeah, that's a good idea too. Like if you are having, like you said, like a hard time with the S, then the Sally sells seashells. That could be like a lot of like tongue exercises to get your mouth used to moving in a different way. My teacher for Spanish, I couldn't say the R's. So I had not tongue twisters because that was just too hard for me, but it was the ra, re, ri, ra, ru. I had to do that all the time because I had to get my mouth used to speaking in another, or moving in another way. So yeah, that's an excellent idea too. Like fun exercises to help you with pronunciation. Yeah.
Do you have any tongue twister that we can practice?
But I don't really remember that one. Sally sells seashells.
Sally sells.
Or what was it? We were trying to do another one, but that was in Spanish about the pica pedra something.
Pica pedra.
But that's Spanish.
Yeah, there's
I have to think of that.
There's a very now that it's said about how different it is for the Spanish speakers and to learn Spanish or to learn English, and for the English speakers to learn Spanish as well, because we talk a lot with our throat and with our tongue as well. Like we do a lot of the and with abejitas. We say a lot with the throat, and it's with English we don't say that much. Actually,
no, it's more like nose and
So it is difficult. So the exercise that you had to do to learn Spanish, you had to do the reverse.
Yes. But all of that helps, and of course it's weird. It feels funny, but do it in the mirror. Practice so you see yourself, see how it sounds, because all of that will help you pronunciate it like a native, you know, with practice.
And slowly. Don't be
And
like
slowly,
hurrying you up.
yeah,
You don't need it to
You'll
hurry.
get it. You'll get it.
Yeah.
Just you need time.
And so that's one more question. Actually, we're doing a few more because I'm having a lot here. And Naomi,
Okay.
hola Naomi, ¿qué tal? And she asked about, hi, could you explain how to pronounce vowels sounds?
Okay. So let me write this. So we have the A, the E, the I, the O, the U, sometimes the Y. Okay. So for example, right, we have and the A, the E. Well, this is how I type it so I can see it. And then O, U. Okay, so we could say like apple. Right, you can think about that. Then also the egg. Egg. Glue. Glue. Okay, and then octopus.
That's maybe the O is a tricky one, right? Because it's
the O.
Actually, saying
it becomes open. Like the
Yeah.
And then umbrella. Like that. So yeah, like maybe you can make like a picture book sometimes and like practice the sounds like like you're gonna sing perhaps, you know. Get yourself used to that. Igloo.
Octopus. I think octopus. It's just the one that is more tricky. So it's
because you see O.
Yes.
Because the only one like for the O, because we have the consonant, so you have the strong O sound. But the O can also be like the depending on the sound. And then
yeah.
you can do your voice. And I think there was another song too that was it's actually for music. Like from the Sound of Music. Like the do, a deer, a female, D-ray, and it helps with pronunciation practice too, with some of the vowels and consonant sounds. That's an idea too from the Sound of Music.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's interesting because when you that's one of the things that I learned the vowels with the song as well. I had an English teacher that she but I'm not able to remember. I would not.
Yeah.
But I
remember I like songs too because it kind of
I
don't know, like it just sticks in your head better. I don't know. To me.
Yeah, I will not be able to remember the song right now, but it was definitely a song that was that I learned the sounds of vowels because of the song. So it was an interesting thing for me. And then, so maybe we can practice with your tutor here in Cambly or ask them for
more
send
like
some examples,
some tunes.
To practice. So it's just an interesting way. So to song. Listening to songs, it's a very interesting way to learn the sounds of vowels. And so let's see. They have more. Well, thank you everybody because you're asking very great questions. And so Lori, she put it here in an interesting way. She put it. Hi there, I have been struggling with my homework, which is reading technical English. Would you mind giving us some tips? Thank you. So, what kind of technical English, right? Depends.
Well, anytime, like for example, I have a student that works in, actually it's security systems. So what we have to do is always, make sure we understand what it is. Like, for example, in Spanish, and then we do a exact translation of what it would be into English. So, and then from there, I always recommend, keep your own notebook of those technical words. Jargon is a little bit different, because jargon, or it's kind of like idioms or modismos, but it has to do with your profession. But that's a little bit different. But a technical English, usually your exact translation of it would be correct. So you have to see what it is in Spanish and then look for the precise translation in English. But for office jargon, that's a little bit different. There are a lot of websites that can help you with idioms or modismos that have to do with your profession, or maybe office work and things like that. So that you do need an exact translation for the technical part.
Yeah, because it is difficult depending on what kind of she's having. Like reading technical English, sometimes it is tricky, and you have to pay attention. So
and make notes. I mean, sometimes like if you have to, if it's a machine, if you're studying engineering or something, label the part. Label it in English, Spanish. And then with time you'll be able to remember. But you'd have to label it so you can recognize it, and then with time you'll know what it is automatically.
Yeah, that definitely, because make notes. So write it down, these words, look for, put it on Google
for technical stuff.
So that's a very interesting thing, because it's actually I never had to read something very technical, but so it's a way to write it down, everything, make notes, and do a little bit more research, label that, as you say, label things. It's a very interesting way to put it. And let's see here more. So, hello, I'm a Cambly. Hola, Florencia. ¿Qué tal? And she's asking, hello, I'm Cambly student. So that's good. So you can schedule a class with Nicky, and she will be able to teach you a lot more. And she's asking, please, how about to pronounce the suffix like information, as the Spanish people are very bad with the suffix.
So for information?
Yeah, I think, Please, how about to pronounce the suffix? Oh, the suffix, the tion, the information, the tion in the end, right? The T-I-O-N, the T-I-O-N.
So that's kind of like, and you could write it the way it sounds. So it would be like Sean.
Information.
Sean. Sean. Yeah, because the T-I-O-N is always going to be like the Sean. Sound.
Sean.
Information. Delegation. All has that shun sound to it.
That's good.
Yeah, that's the main sound that it has, shun.
Yeah, so basically all these words that end with the T-I-O-N, it's
shun.
Shun. So information.
Yeah. So what you could do is, like, if you're reading something with that, maybe put at the end the way it sounds, shun. So, information, delegation, invitation.
Make sure to like exaggerate it again. Exaggerate. Don't be afraid to exaggerate. So that's an interesting trick. Yeah. So write it down
in the beginning.
Yeah, in the beginning. And so that's good tips to say it as you actually like information. Write it down. So make notes about that. So if you wanted to it's here. If you wanted to make some notes as well, like just here. And
so you remember, okay, that's how I pronunciate something like that.
Yeah, put it maybe to put the correct word, so information. Then exactly as you put it here, so information and with the little thing, and then Sean at the end. So
Sean.
Please, everybody who's watching, please make sure.
Or like in the mirror, Sean.
Yeah.
Whatever works.
So that's a good one. So do you think people, as she put it here, like the Spanish people are very bad with the suffix? Do you think that we are that bad with suffix? Do I have any more thing that you can remember for us?
So, no, because basically I think it's out of fear that sometimes we don't want to try to pronunciate it, But like we were saying, just do it. Try. Exaggerate the suffixes, the prefixes, because if you don't, it could be confused with something else, possibly, and again, that's where the syllables, marking the syllables will help you, So for like information, like if that's a hard word for you, break it down and just say it a few times, and then it'll be easier. You'll be able to say information.
Yeah, definitely.
But that exaggerating in the beginning, that's the key to it. But pronunciate it. You have to pronunciate it. Say it. Don't skip it.
Don't skip it. Never skip. And let's see here. So how can? Oh, that's good. So the adamly. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but he's asking, "Hi, how can I pronounce R and hour?"
Okay. So that's the problem in English. Sometimes we have words that are silent, right? So you're saying the time, hour. Is that?
No, it's
either 1 hour.
Yeah, he put it actually OUR.
OUR. Okay, so the hour. So here with the U, it's kind of like were, ow, like ow.
Hour.
Like that. Ow. Like this. Ow. Hour.
And then you have the hour.
And the same with the time, hour.
But they
so,
have
and
more.
sometimes you have to do it. Think of it. Ow.
Hour. Yeah, that's tricky because like when you put it like R or hour.
Hour. And again, write it at the top. So with time, you automatically remember. That's how it should be pronounced.
Interesting. Yeah, that's another one that is very interesting. So hour. That's it. And so that's Florencia. She's asking again. That's a very actually. She's writing this one, and she put it. Tourism. It's also a hard word. How to pronounce it correctly?
Okay.
Tourism. Because I heard a lot of people talking in different ways, so they.
Like that. Tourism. Could be with tourism.
Because it's a word that is actually very tricky as well. Because it is. I heard a lot of people saying in all different kinds of ways, and
and again, that's why you have to break it down. Yes. Tourism.
So Florencia, gracias por tus comentarios. That's a very, very, very interesting word as well. Let's see. I mean, thank you guys because you have amazing questions. And there's Interesting. Angelica, she's asking how to pronounce gender. El male and female.
Like gender?
I don't know if she put it G-E-N-R-E.
Genre. Oh, yeah.
That was tricky.
Yeah, this is weird. Yeah, genre. It's
yes.
like that. Genre. Yeah. Genre.
I thought in the beginning that she would put it gender, but then I read it again and it's actually genre.
Yeah. Now some words are borrowed too, so I have to check that too. Like for example, hors d'oeuvres. That's a French word that we borrowed. So I wonder, like genre. I wonder if that's a borrowed word.
Genre.
Could be.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Genre. So that's
but I say genre.
Yeah.
Lady Gaga. Genre.
That's good. And that it's something that sometimes we read it. For example, now I was reading fast, and I was like making the translation fast, and then just saying here, and I was like, oh, genre or gender, and then I put a gender because it was like something that is, it was kind of easy. So sometimes,
and that's what could happen too. Sometimes, even with us, like a word for me, aluminum. If you say it really fast, it's like aluminum.
Yeah.
Aluminum. Some words you just have to say exaggerate it because.
Yeah, because they are like tongue twisters. They are tongue twisters as itself. Like they are a tongue twister.
For us.
So aluminum. That's interesting.
That's a hard one too.
Aluminum. But I mean, aluminum. It's a student, right?
No, it's actually like you have. It's I guess a form of metal where you can use it to cover food. Aluminum foil.
Okay. This is a tricky thing as well. I just made a fast translation from Spanish to English, and it is a tricky thing to do it. So don't do it.
Yeah, that's the thing. If like technical English, you can do a direct translation, but if you're translating, maybe ideas and things like that, that's tricky too.
Mm-hmm.
Because what things might mean in Mexico, it might be translated very differently somewhere else, so that you have to be careful with Google Translate. You got to be careful with that sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes you can use it, but make sure to read it again.
Is that what they meant? And technical English is good. Like, cell phone, okay, cellular, no? But other things, it could be tricky. Expressions.
Yeah, some words will be different, and it's depending of where you are as well. So make sure if you are using Google Translate and these for what you do, make sure
double check your work.
Double check, definitely double check, because sometimes.
And we could check things too. A lot of times I have my students maybe read an article, and for homework, write the answers, what you thought about it, different details, and I'll check it for you grammatically, and then you can read it to me and I can help you with your pronunciation too. So that's what we do too. Cambly.
That's good. So maybe we can do like 2 more questions, because I saw here that we had 2 very interesting questions here, and one it's another very tricky word, and that I do this. For me, it's a tongue twister as well. So and Nomar asked about how exactly is the pronunciation of the word world.
Okay.
So our world.
World. So I usually put World.
World.
So kind of keep your mouth closed.
Mm-hmm.
World.
Especially.
And again, exaggerate it. World.
Yeah. Especially as he put it here, like the two together, like the word.
Yeah.
World.
World.
Yeah.
And
word.
And then the other word is kind of just quick. Word.
World. So
word.
in the world, you sound the L a little bit like.
Yeah.
World.
It's a little in the R. World. And then the word.
Just more like quickie, very
quick.
Simple.
Mm-hmm.
World. It's
another one. I don't know if want to censor anything, but a lot of people don't like to say, I want to go to the beach.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have questions about that because they don't want to insult anybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're talking about this word, exaggerate it.
Mm-hmm.
The beach. Like that. And the other one is very quick.
Yeah.
So just
so to distinguish both of those.
A lot of people don't want to confuse those words.
yeah, definitely. Those are very.
Yeah.
But so this is a beach.
I want to go to the beach.
Yeah.
Beach.
That's interesting. So
exaggerate it. Mm-hmm.
Exaggerate. Beach. And so maybe we can do our last question. There's a very interesting one as well. And I think it's so I will say to you, so Cecilia, thanks for saying this question. It's amazing. And she put it, I have some problems with the sound sh in words such as fortunate, furniture, or infrastructure. Could you give us some tips, please? So, fortunate, furniture, infrastructure, something that
infrastructure, sure. Yeah, and again, you have to separate the syllables so you don't lose any of the words. So infrastructure. Infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. Separate it. Take your time with it, and then just say it. Repeat. But the ending is like sure, like you're saying sure. Sure. And then furniture.
Yeah.
So that kind of sounds like like churros, right? It's like furniture.
That's interesting. So furniture. But don't put it the churr. Just
yeah. Don't go that.
Churros, no. Churr.
Yeah, furniture.
Just keep your tongue and like stick in the mouth. Don't use it as a furniture. Furniture. Interesting.
And that's why I say it's important. Do it like that. Break it up into syllables and put a little note. How does it sound?
Mm-hmm.
And then little by little you'll remember. Because you'll come across it again like, oh yeah, it's sure or sure.
Yeah, so
but always divide it up. Take your time with it.
That's a very good, very, very good tips. True. Split it down and the syllables. Make sure that you sound exaggerating the sound of the especially if you have a problem with sh as Cecilia has asked us about. So make sure to exaggerate this furniture and say it out loud.
Furniture.
Put yourself in front of the mirror sometimes, right? Write it down or record yourself. I mean, recording, it's a very interesting way to record yourself. And here in Cambly, we have you can record. Actually, we record all your classes, so you can watch those again. So it's a very interesting feature as well, because you can come back and then make sure to understand what you were saying and pay attention. Sometimes we're just saying something and we don't actually necessarily pay attention about what we're going to say, or sometimes it just, oh, I just said something. I don't know what this actually means. And it's good to watch again. So record yourself, put yourself in front of the mirror, or make sure to talk with someone. And those are very.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah. Definitely, and they're the best. So one more time, if you want to have classes with Nikki, we put it here in the description, her link. So it's here down here in the description, the link for her profile on Cambly, and we put it a promo code as well. If you guys wanted to have a first class for free, we have the promo code here in our description as well. Okay, don't forget. And I think we already have answered a lot of questions. So do you want to say something to finish this lesson? What do you want to share with us here?
So, basically, don't give up. It's not going to be like the Matrix, sad to say, but just take your time with it. Take your time. Take notes. How does it sound to you? And then try to repeat it and do everything. Music, movies, subtitles, lyrics, all of that will help your journey be more fun and easier.
Definitely.
But you could do it.
Definitely. And bueno, a todos los que estáis aquí todavía, y para los que queréis coger una clase, tomar una clase con Nicky, aquí abajo os ponemos la descripción ahí el enlace donde está el perfil de Nicky en Cambly, ¿vale? Entonces no os olvidáis, hay un código promocional también aquí abajo para los estudiantes, los nuevos estudiantes podéis coger una clase gratuita, ¿vale? Entonces ponga ahí tu like, comparte con tus amigos. Y os esperamos aquí en la próxima semana. Espero que habéis gustado. Si todavía tenéis dudas, podéis enviarnos mensajes, podéis enviarnos, todas tus dudas, que vamos a intentar contestar el máximo posible. Y si tenéis dudas, podéis enviar mensajes directamente a Nicky también. Vas directamente al perfil de ella, ¿vale? No vas a poner a muchos mensajes a ella, ¿vale? Pero pocos, ¿eh? Pero sí que podéis. Y hablamos todos y vamos compartiendo ideas y sacando dudas, pues poner ahí en los comentarios, os podéis enviarnos correos, y el equipo de Cambly está siempre aquí para ayudar el máximo posible. ¿Vale? Entonces, si os gusta, poner ahí un like aquí, comparte con tus amigos, y creo que nos vemos en la próxima semana. Right, Nikki? I think it was very nice to have you here. Thank you for your time here.
Same here.
It was very, very nice to have you here. So, thank you. Thank you one more time.
Okay, bye.
Bye.